Third by Pastor Gary Houston with New Hope Blackwater Baptist Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Morning. This is the day that the Lord has made. We can rejoice and be glad in this day. Father, we thank you for the rising of the sun. It is your grace and mercy that we're able to be here today. We pray, God, that you will cover this meeting with the blood of Jesus. Cover our mayor, staff. Cover our council with the blood of Jesus. Cover our city as we lift it before thy throne, O God of heaven and earth. For you made all things. You've got all power in your hand. So today, we thank you for your grace. Thank you for your mercy. Thank you for your love. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Changes to the agenda?
President Johnson, we do have one change that we would like to request, and that is to remove the payment for unfazed show and band. It is claims docket number 902-225 in the amount of $1,700.
$1,700.
What was that number again?
902-225.
Okay. I also would like to amend the agenda, that the council comments to add Mr. Tommy Williams down. Any other changes?
Move to approve the budget change.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? So moved. Consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Routine agenda. No.
It's just said.
Okay, thank you. All right, so number one, resolution calling for rezoning appeal hearing RZ-19-03, 1400 Beach Street on March the 19th at 5:15 p.m.
Second.
This is a request from a developer named Mr. Richard Niska. He's requesting the council to set a hearing date to hear his appeal relating to rezoning of 1400 Beach Street. And we're asking for that to be on the March 19th council meeting at 5:15.
Ready to vote? All in favor? Any opposed? So moved. Number two, order confirming the reappointment of Rebecca Combs Dulaney to the Meridian School Board.
Ms. Combs Delaney is here. Before she comes up, I'd like to say that Ms. Combs Delaney's drive, determination, and history of helping children speaks for itself. She's a graduate, magna cum laude, political science, University of New York. She received a fellowship at the University of Moscow. She has a master's degree and has completed postgraduate work. She has done an amazing job for all people inside the city of Meridian. Mayor Bland.
As Richard said, Ms. Combs Delaney's resume and curriculum vitae in front of you speaks for itself. She has been serving on the board for the past 8 months on the school board. She has served as CEO for the Harden Foundation for over 8 years. She has a resume outline of life dedicated to the service of other people. She has a clear commitment to our community, giving of her leadership and her financial support whenever and wherever called upon. She has refused reimbursements given to every project the city has embarked on to help us all move forward. She has taken this appointment as a responsibility rather than an entitled honor bestowed upon her. The Meridian Public School District needs Rebecca Combs Delaney. This city with a struggling district needs Rebecca Combs Delaney. And, you know, all I know is what I know about people, and I know she has a heart for children, she has a heart to serve, and her family has been very committed for years to help move this city forward. The reason why boards like this and also the MCC board are very important is because you need diverse members on that board. You need people who can help in a lot of different ways to make that board whole and complete. And I ask that you guys move forward with the appointment this morning of Ms. Rebecca Combs Delaney to the Meridian Public School District Board. If you all have any questions, Mrs. Combs Delaney is here to answer those questions. She was at a state training the last time when we tabled this. So if there are any questions, I'm going to ask her to come at this time, if you all have any questions.
Yeah, Mr. President, could I have up to 5 minutes to ask questions and make comments without being interrupted? Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Are you?
Hold on one second.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here today. We as council members recognize that we're obviously very privileged to be so involved in the governing process. I mean, most people never get the opportunity to observe and really affect change in local government in the way that we do. And we recognize that. And you must realize as well that you've been especially privileged to have the level of access into city administration as you have and as others have enjoyed as well. At times you've even had more access to information and influence over the process than council members have had, given emails related to developments and attorney-privileged documents that have been forwarded. All of these things we now know, even discussions about the way some of our departments like community development are going to be operating. Why do you believe you've been privileged to have that level of access and influence into the decision-making process?
Thank you. Excuse me, I'm going to get hoarse here. My father was a very wise man, and he was beloved. He was well thought of. He was a very, very, very bright man. My father once told me, well, actually he told me many times, not just once, that wise men and wise women seek the advice of people that are smarter than they are, that they respect and that they admire, that are compassionate and committed to things. A fool is someone who thinks they know everything. I would never profess to know everything. I'm always on a learning curve. But I've had a 50-year career of work and volunteer work in 3 different states that I have had the privilege of living in. And to live here in Mississippi is one of the highest privileges I've had in my entire life. I have a background that what you heard briefly. When I was going through some files the other day, and I was sort of shocked when I opened up this drawer that I hadn't opened in years. And it's a regular file drawer that was half full of just things that I have been part of throughout my life. I had no idea how extensive it was. One of those areas of expertise that people come to me for is that I was a former member of the Industrial Development Agency in Western New York. I was also a longtime member of the Airport Authority, which was positioning itself to increase its length of its runway. It was a multi-year discussion and development project that ended up being successful. That airport now is a distribution hub for many businesses that were not there before. I was also the member of a local and still am, of the International Women's Forum Mississippi chapter, where we groom young women to take over leadership roles. I was also the commissioner of our zoning board, where we were charged with rewriting the zoning laws of our town. That was over a 3-year commitment. I served on the zoning board for more than 12 years. All of those commitments, long-time, multi-year commitments, were I was a full-time mom of 3 children, and I was a full-time student because, like you, Mr. Lindeman, I had dropped out of college as well. And when my children went to school full-time, I realized I needed to get my rear end in gear and go back to school and learn, because I needed to know a great deal. So I was going to school full-time, I was working, and I was raising 3 children. And I seemed to be able to balance all of those pretty well and be a long-time participant of the communities that I lived in. As a school board member, we're charged with supporting and helping our superintendent, her staff, and teachers to run a very large enterprise. We have over 5,400 students, or approximately 5,400 students in our school district. In the last several months that I have served on that board, I have come to know my colleagues that I had not known. I'd known of them, but didn't know them well. Reverend Houston serves as our president, and every meeting I am more and more impressed with his commitment, his compassion, and his care about the students and the teachers and the staff. I hope I can serve as well, and that my long history of being involved in business, investing in my communities, both with my time and my resources, that I hope that I can be one of the best school board members that I could possibly be, to help our superintendent, who's here today, who is working long hours to improve our school district for every child, not just for some child. I do feel privileged that the mayor appointed me to serve on that board. So if you say I have access, I am glad that I have the access to serve on the school board. You've also mentioned in those emails that you have posted that I have other access that somehow seems a bit conspiratorial. One of the things that I did as chair of the Mississippi Association of Grant Makers, which I am very proud to say I was instrumental in growing that organization. We had 4 members throughout the entire state when I took over as chair. We met once a year. That organization now has 50 members throughout the state. They meet regularly, and they are having a tremendous impact throughout the state, including Meridian and Lauderdale County. One of the initiatives we were discussing, researching, and trying to develop were housing initiatives for people to live in our urban centers that we saw deteriorating in front of our eyes. We saw people moving out of the city areas into our county, leaving behind a deterioration and poorly performing schools. We were investigating and exploring developments that could retain our teachers, our police officers, our medical workers in the very city where they came from, so they could live there and they could work there and they could invest there and be part of that community. We did not see that happen in my time as chair, but it has since happened in Jackson. That company, Charter Companies, is now trying to replicate that very successful enterprise here in Meridian. Because I had a commitment so many years ago and stayed with it as long as I possibly could, I do hope that that can be replicated here so that we can retain our parents, our police officers, our nurses, and our teachers in this city. I take no remuneration, no compensation of any kind from the school board, just like my esteemed colleague, Reverend Houston. We are fully committed and invested in improving in any way we can the school board. In addition, you made a claim publicly that anyone who makes over $30,000 a year cannot possibly relate to the problems in this city, nor are they acceptable. Well, I challenge you, Councilman, to think about that statement, because if you believe that no one making over $30,000 can respond to the issues of this city, then that would require you to fire and dismiss our superintendent of our school district, every administrator, and most teachers. Do you really believe that our superintendent, our administrators, and our teachers are unacceptable because they make more than $30,000 a year? I take no compensation, and I will shout this out. I take no compensation from Structural Steel Services because I get so much back in return by meeting the people throughout this city and throughout this county and helping them in any way I can. I don't think you have an understanding of what Structural Steel Services has done for this community after its 43 years. We have had several retirees in just this past year who've been with Structural Steel Services for between 35 and 43 years. They come up to Tommy Delaney, the founder, the one who risked his family, risked his own funds, risked everything to start a business here. And he did it. And he did it with the advice and the assistance of people who were smarter than he was, who had good ideas, people he trusted, and people he respected. And that company is still here 43 years later. People are just now, retiring. And they come up to Tommy and say, "Thank you, Mr. Tommy. You gave me a life I never thought I would have. I have a retirement where I can go fishing, I can enjoy my grandchildren and my wife. I worked hard, but you respected me as an employee, and you gave back to me, my children, and my community." And that's what I continue to aim to do for this city, this county, and the school board.
I definitely don't discount your experience and long record of service and philanthropic activities and all that stuff. And I definitely don't fault you for misrepresenting my comments at the last council meeting. You weren't here, where I think the people who are those eager to be involved citizens that we usually see here, who don't have nearly the same level of access to information or influence over the process. I think they better understood my comments, which was to...
No, they didn't understand, because people who know me, Councilman, know that I have a certain level of expertise in several areas. So those people come to me with advice, asking for advice and my opinion. The emails that you printed are factual. They are absolutely factual. I do know that what a TIF is for. A TIF was originally initiated to be used in blighted areas, and that's what I stated in that email. That is a fact. That had nothing to do with having privilege or access, sir. It had only something to do with my former expertise in that area of development. So yes, your comments are false. They are not rooted in fact. And when you say that we have given dollars, I have given dollars and insinuate that I'm getting something back for that, Structural Steel Services has never and may never do any business in Meridian and Lauderdale County. We have nothing to gain as far as privilege in our business at Structural Steel Services. I have nothing to gain personally except hoping that I can have a better community for every child who lives here, every parent who lives here, and every parent who will hopefully have a child grow up, graduate from this school district, and be able to find a good paying job like they get at Structural Steel Services.
I just want to wrap this up because I can't even complete a comment without being cut off. Do you foresee there being any conflicts of interest should you be confirmed to the school board?
None.
Given the opportunity to vote to convey the old Witherspoon School, is that something you would vote on?
I'm sorry, repeat that, please?
Last year, we were given a proposal to take the old Witherspoon School from the school district to then convey it to charter development for the proposed development in my ward.
I have no information on that subject whatsoever.
You've been involved in this.
I have no information on that particular subject whatsoever.
You've even solicited dozens of potential investors to ask them to join and invest in.
Excuse me, sir, that was West End, the project that I told you about that has been developed very successfully in Jackson. My intent has never waned from trying to provide in some fashion wonderful, beautiful housing for families that deserve good housing in this city. That is my only interest. Did I convene some prospective investors? I certainly did. But that was to provide good, decent housing for people to be able to live in this city and not be forced to move to the county.
So then my question is simply, would you?
I answered your question, Councilman.
No.
I answered your question. I'm not going to let you sit there and grandstand. I answered your question. Can we move on?
I do have one, I have a comment and one question. One of the things that I've been hearing in the community, I have children in the public school.
Yes, you do.
And since pre-K. One of the issues that, and even this council has brought up, is about diversity within our district. There seems to be a lack thereof. You've been on the board for, I think, 8 months or so now. What is your game plan to speak to some of your colleagues, the people that you interact with, to start the conversation about bringing more diversity, to get those individuals to maybe consider bringing their children back to the Meridian Public School District?
So basically what you're asking is to reintegrate the schools because now we have a majority African American.
I'm asking about diversity, yes ma'am.
Yes, and I don't know how to do that. I wish I had the answer. I don't have the answer. My expertise is in finance, management, and developing teams. I'm hoping that I can lend my expertise in helping our superintendent, who is doing a formidable and excellent job with a very difficult situation. As I said, my expertise is finance, economic development, and management, and team building. And I hope that I can lend my expertise in those areas. Diversity is a very difficult issue, but again, one way that I mentioned earlier, Councilwoman Houston, is to provide good housing for people to want to live here and stay here. And that's whether they're African American or white or Hispanic or Asian. We want to develop a city where everyone feels welcome and everyone feels comfortable and everyone can work and play and practice their faith.
Which is true. I'm with you 100% on that. I'm hoping that Charter will do what they need to do in Ward 4 that we've been waiting for a very long time. But that's not neither here nor there as far as I'm concerned.
One direct thing that I have been involved in that I'm hoping we can expand here is I've been involved in a number of projects that I am very proud of to have been able to participate. One of those is expanding the pre-K in the Meridian School District. And one of the ways we are going to be able to do that is through the pre-K collaborative. I am most proud that I worked with the late Anthony Topazzi, who was the CEO of Mississippi Power and the Barksdale Reading Group, and me, to develop a state-funded pre-K system. There was no state pre-K funded system. When I came...
Mississippi?
In Mississippi. Mississippi had no state-funded pre-K. We were one of approximately 14 states that did not have state-funded pre-K. When I came, I made it my central goal to make that happen. It took 6 years, but this core group of dedicated, committed, and very persistent entities made that happen in 6 years. We now have state-funded pre-K in the state of Mississippi. The even better news is that next year, because we have achieved some success in understanding that there is a direct correlation between early childhood education to a career and a good self-supporting job, you've got to get our children into school early, and that is a pre-K environment. Next year, the federal government is going to be investing, and hold on to your hats, $50 million in the state of Mississippi because we developed an early pre-K program. They are now investing in us, and I am very proud of having been a part of that.
And just so, I mean, I think your resume is impressive. I appreciate the work that you and your husband and you all's organization do within the community. I guess my concern is somewhat from everyday experience. I'm finding that we are putting people on the board, the school board, who do not have children within the school district. And it seems like it's very difficult for those individuals to really understand what our children what they're going through, as it relates to, and I know we have some people on the board whose children went there 10, 20, 30 years ago, however long it's been, but I have a 7th grader and a 9th grader, and I assure you, things are completely different than what they were some time ago. So my concern and what I've been praying about since all of this stuff has come to the forefront is, do we really need to continue putting people on the school board who do not have a vested interest as far as children within the school district to really understand the day-to-day struggles of what it is to be a parent and what it is to have children within this school district that's struggling right now. I applaud Dr. Carter. She has always been a great support, even with the work that we're doing outside of, this particular arena. But at the same time, I do have a real concern that we need people on the school board who have a vested interest, meaning their children are within the school district right now, to really be able to relate to what's happening and be able to answer the question about diversity, be able to know what's going on as it relates to this Department of Justice stuff and the things that our teachers have to go through every single day, and students who want to learn but can't learn because of all of the distractions in the classroom. These are things that I have to listen to my children come home and tell me. And I think that as a school board member, it will change the whole dynamics when you actually hear about the everyday things that are happening. So that's my concern. I think that you and your family are wonderful people, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. And I hope we can just respect each other on that. Nothing about any other. I've just come to a point where, we really need some people that understand what's going on.
You are absolutely right. You make a valid point. Councilwoman Houston. It's complex.
Yeah.
There are no easy answers, and I am not going to stand here and tell you I have the solutions, because I don't. I hope I can participate in making some of those solutions come about, and especially after Saturday. Reverend Houston and I attended the funeral of a bright young African-American woman. We lost her. We shouldn't have lost her. She was one of our best and our brightest. So, and I identified with that mother, because I too lost a daughter to an illness. And she was the best and the brightest. We have problems in this district, and they are complex. But it's going to take all of us, you members on the council. I implore you to get into the schools. You are, Councilwoman Houston, I know you're working with these young girls, and I applaud you for doing what you're doing. But it's going to take so many more of us to be there on a daily basis, so that we do understand these very deep-rooted problems. But it's going to take our council, our administration, our superintendent, our staff, our teachers, and our parents. And our entire, it does. That's a trite saying, but that's what it's going to take. And believe me, you know, you've heard this. Site locators come to a city and they look at two major things. First and foremost, the governance and the education system, and then the infrastructure. We've got to get all of those working in concert if we are going to attract companies from outside of our area. We have all of us have a role to play in all of those areas, and I hope that I can play a positive role in some of those areas.
And I mean, I don't know how the vote is going to go today, but I would solicit the administration to get you in our community development.
I'm there on the delivery as Councilmember Linden.
With the wealth of knowledge that you have and expertise in certain areas, I mean, I feel that you would be a greater asset, you know, maybe in a different capacity because of the wealth of knowledge you have with economic development and things of that nature.
I'm here to help in any way I can.
Yes, ma'am, and we appreciate that.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I want to make some comments. I'm going to vote for you, let you know that up front. My family's been involved in the Meridian Public School District since 1970. We either work there or have a child there, still have a grandchild in the public schools, still have a daughter working in the public schools. Our oldest son started school at Wexford. Our oldest daughter started school at East End. Those don't even exist anymore, schools. We have an opportunity in Meridian to have a very positive school district. Dr. Carter, in my opinion, does all she can do to make it happen. I think there are things that the whole community would like to get back to the point where we view it as our school district, all the people here. There are a lot of private school parents who support very strongly the Meridian Public School District, but for a variety of reasons have their child in another school. So I think there's nothing wrong with that. Some things I would like to see as a grandpa, parent, school teacher. I think the Ross Collins program, and you're going to be on the school board, so these are things I want you to work on. Ross Collins, I think, has a tremendous opportunity to move into a lot of modern day technological type training programs as well as vocational trades. The diversity is a concern that's been a concern of mine for years and years, and I'm like you, I don't know the solution. But I think the more we can do to make the public schools positive, and the PR part, which I think we're doing a better job of publicizing the positive things that go in the schools. Not just athletics, not just the arts, but a lot of other things also. I think those need to continue. I hope you will work as a school board member trying to influence the state school board to change their approach to testing in the total state of Mississippi.
We're spending millions of dollars buying tests that we don't need to be buying. ACT is paid for by the state legislature for students in the high schools to take. There's no reason to spend more money for tests when the ACT will substitute for the tests that we're spending millions of dollars to get. They also have a coordinated testing program throughout the grades, starting with kindergarten going all the way up. So if we want to spend money, let's spend money on something like that, not change tests every year, not change scores every year, where the teachers don't know what's expected, the students don't know what's expected, the results are so late coming back, you can't make corrections, so next year they start another test. Like I said, I think the arts are extremely important. We have a lot of students that is their thing. The athletic program is important also. We've had students move back into the Meridian Public Schools because of the athletic programs and the arts programs, particularly white students that were in other schools that have moved here and are very successful with it. I would like for us to have a summer school for students who want to get ahead, not just those that are behind. At the present time, I think the procedure is if you're behind and go to summer school, you want to get ahead, it's not available. Dr. Huebner is here. We're doing a lot with Meridian Community College with dual enrollment and other programs, some other programs. I hope they're planning to start in the next school year, working with that, where children can achieve a community college degree and a high school diploma at the same time, which I think would be tremendous for those students. We talk about diversity. The president of the Mr. Meridian High School this year is a white student. So there are opportunities there, I think, if students can take advantage of them. So I hope you, as a member of the school board, some of these things, I'd also like to have a full-time athletic director and add some of the sports back in that we can let drop off, like bowling, like swimming, those kind of things. I just think we have a tremendous opportunity. You call them problems if you want to, and they are problems we got to deal with. The opportunities for Meridian City School District are fantastic. I think there's not a person in this audience that would go out of their way to support the Meridian Public School District. Many of them graduated from there. So again, I'm going to vote for you. You have an opportunity as a school board member to make a major difference in the Meridian Public Schools and in this city. So I hope when you are appointed, when you are confirmed, you can do some of these things. And again, Dr. Carter, I praise her for what she does. I send her stuff frequently. She may like it, she may not like it, but as an involved person in the community, I want her to know some of these things. I don't know if she knows them or not, but the opportunity's there to train parents, not just train preschoolers, but train parents in how to be a parent. Some don't know, some have had a hard time, they've lived a hard life, and they don't know some positive things they do. You've got a banker sitting back there, we could help them with financial planning as far as parents go. I know we're doing something in the schools now with the children, which is great. I just, I'm passionate about schools, I guess, since I spent my whole life in education. Again, since 1970, I've either had a child in the school, a grandchild in the school, or I've worked in the public schools. So, I guess I'm biased in a lot of ways about the public schools. Again, thank you for agreeing to serve.
Questions don't get answered.
All right. I want the record to reflect that I will be voting abstain on this one here. You guys ready to vote? Yeah. All in favor? Aye. Any nay? Any opposed?
Nay.
It's 2-2.
So where are we?
We're zero.
Can we get a legal opinion here, Mr. Watson, on what occurs when we have a 2-2 vote with one abstention?
Nothing happens.
So there's no negative action, it's essentially a tabled item?
No, it just doesn't pass. It can be brought up next time, but it doesn't pass here today. It's a draw.
You can't veto a non-vote to force it back.
Well, it's unfortunate because I think we can do a lot of good in this city if we build up and not tear down. That's all I have to say.
You had anything, man?
Well, listen, I mean, I think she communicated to all of us, speaks volume. I mean, what she communicated. I think personally, I understand Evelyn's comments. With Councilwoman Houston, I know that currently everyone we go out to try to get to serve on this board may not have kids in the school district. May used to have kids in the school district, but Rebecca lives in the city of Meridian. Rebecca Consolani has a vested interest in this city, even though she does not have kids or grandkids in this school district right now. I think if she did, of course, they would be going to Meridian Public School District. She communicated a lot of things about herself that I did not even know today across a lot of different areas that would be a great asset to this school board. I mean, I think it's unfortunate, and even the question of asking a white male or a white female how or what are they going to be able to do personally to bring white students back into this district with diversity. I think that's an issue that we all have talked about, but it's not one person of any race that's just going to be able to change that overnight. She talked about a lot of things with programs that would be things that would make or would be an attraction for middle-class blacks that have left the district and also whites that have left the district that will help possibly improve the diversity. So I think she answered that question, but I think to have a person like that as an asset, to come up here and to want to serve, I can't find people in this community like Rebecca Thomas Delaney that can help move this district forward. So, you know, I think we're all at a loss when we do things that we, you know, not voting, and then the questions you have. I understand I'm talking to poor people most of the time on this council. I don't even count Councilman Linden in voting for anything that would help us to move this city forward. But the other four, if we work together, and even if it may not be sometimes what we may want in our minds to do, but just knowing what type of asset we just lost by voting, basically voted Rebecca Consolani down today. It sets our community back, it sets our city back, and it sets the school district back. So that's what I have to say. As the mayor and as someone who wants this school district to do better and wants this city to do better, this lady has connections and resources to help improve the lives of every student, black students, white students, Hispanic students, Asian students, rich students, poor students. You got everybody in this district. She knows that this district serves 93% African American students. 92% of those kids on free and reduced meals. She knows that. She was the executive director of Field Hart. She knows what this community lacks. And to have someone like that, white or black, green or blue, to want to serve in this capacity and not appoint her, we all lose. She doesn't lose. We all as a community lose as leaders. So I don't have anyone else right now to put up. We can stay at a 2-2. I keep bringing it up every 2 weeks at a council meeting, but I hope and pray that you guys rethink of what we're all trying to do as we try to move each one of our wards forward and this city forward. Each one of you all have a responsibility for the constituents in your wards, but I have a constituent, I have to deal with the constituents, all 42,500 of them in this whole city. Okay? And so, you know, you're talking about diversity, the racial makeup of that school board right now is, you have 3 black members, you have 2 white members, you have 3 females and 2 males. It is diverse. Even though the district does not look like the makeup of your school board. But for us to win and build and grow, we've got to have players at the table that can help all of us. And Rebecca Thompson-Delaney is a major player in this state, not in this city, in this state, and in this region. You guys really need her on that board. And so I'm asking as mayor, I don't have anyone else to put up, President Johnson.
Point of order, let's move on the agenda.
So he asked me if I had.
I have to say one thing. The Delaney's don't say this. They don't ask for accolades. They don't ask for public recognition. When we have something needed in this city that benefits everyone, and the city of Meridian does not have the financial ability sometimes to move forward, the first call we make sometimes is to structural steel to talk to Rebecca Combs-Delaney and Tommy Delaney. When it came to the Velma Young Center, the first call we made was to see about getting the steel donated. They said, of course, we will donate the steel. The building's good for the community. Let's do it. MCC needs a workforce development program. They need some place to train our kids so they have a job when they get out of school. First call that gets made is, let's build it. How are we going to cut costs? Those people back there, selfless act for no money.
Thank you, Mr. Rich.
And we know that they're great people, and I know we're trying to move on, but the issue, and Mayor made comment about the question I asked, that question is asked every time. It's just usually asked by another council person. I love the Delaney's. This is not nothing personal. Nothing I do up here is personal. This is about business, and this is about what I see happening in the school district. I don't want to take my kids out of the Meridian Public School District. I can afford to do it, but I choose to try to be one of the people that's there fighting for the district. I think they are wonderful people. Like I made in my comments, I think she may serve better in a different capacity with the wealth of knowledge and economic development and everything else that she brings to the table. For the Meridian Public School District, me personally, I've gone along with everybody else that has been placed on the board, and now that my children are getting older, I see a need that we need people on the board who really understand what's truly going on within our district, not just the pretty fluff on the outside. With my children being in the district, it is completely different. I have a completely different viewpoint from those who do not have children within the district. So I hope that we can all respect each other's vote here today. I can't speak for anybody else on the city council, but I can say that to the Delaney's, and I pray that they will continue to do the great work that they do in this community, that my concern is from a place of where I am right now. It is nothing personal to you all. I appreciate what you do. We have called on you all for many things, and I do hope that you all will continue to serve the city and not make this some personal thing or whatever the picture is trying to be painted here today.
Let's move on to the agenda. I think people have made their comments, votes been taken, got a place at the end for people comments. Let's move on.
If that's what the president would like to do.
If that's what the president would like to do, the majority of the council.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Routine item number 3. Order authorizing acceptance of sponsorship from Bonita Lakes Mall for Healthy Hometown Challenge.
Second.
I'd like to call up Director Carmichael here. She continues to locate outside funds on tight budget year. This is accepting a donation from Rock Step Capital in the amount of $1,000.
Good morning, Council.
Good morning.
In our efforts to continue our Healthy Hometown, our healthy initiatives for the city of Meridian and our residents, we have had another gracious local business who has stepped up to help us with this challenge and our other initiatives that we have for this program. It is Rock Step, and they have been instrumental in helping us plan and board-date activities, so I would like to just graciously thank them for their support and acceptance of this donation.
Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Nay. Number 4, order authorizing venue use agreement for 2019 state games in Mississippi. Second. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Nay. Number 5, order authorizing memorandum of agreement between Mississippi Transportation Commission and the city for emergency roads and bridge repair.
Second.
All right, Director Smith here. Once again, you have a department head working to get outside funds. This is a grant request that Director Smith sent to the state legislature. And it's one of the largest grants that was given out, in the amount of $3,520,000 to address Highway 80 Bridge. Mr. Smith, thank you so much.
Good morning, Council. Do you have any questions in regards to when you going to start, when you going to finish?
Actually, this is a process for getting funds from MDOT. Part of that process will be for them to concur with this MOU. Once they do that, they'll give us notification that we may proceed in regard to, putting a professional consultant on the contract. My goal is to have that before you at the next council meeting. That will start the time clock which you're referring to.
In your opinion, once we start, how long will it take to finish?
This
funds?
No, this will be probably, if I had to guess, a year and a half from start to finish.
About 2 years.
Well, some of it is, it's a historic bridge. There again, MDOT is the agency that's awarding these funds, so there'll be, step by step with us through this process. We'll also drag it out some because they have to concur with the actual design. That selection process, then the construction itself, depending upon the time. So I'm saying a year and a half to 2 years.
Okay.
One thing that does need to be said on this project right here, 3 years ago, and this was at the advisement of Director Smith, and also in conversations with the mayor and other business leaders here, we looked at doing a CDBG, $750,000 to be used for this bridge. We would have made the city have to put a large amount of funds in fixing this bridge. That money was decided to redirect to Young for that center to be built, and that waiting paid off. And so now, rather than having to really put in a lot of money here, we've got $3.5 million instead. So
All things work together
good
for
things
our
come
good.
good way. So thank you for that.
Ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Number 6, order authorizing approval of amended complaint in the opioids.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions?
I didn't vote because this when we started. I think we put the focus wrong place. I know heard this morning over 70,000 people a year die from opioid addiction, overuse. Still don't think we put the emphasis in the right place. That's why I'm not going to vote for it again. I think it's a major problem. I think there are other ways people could go about trying to deal with this problem.
Ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Number 7, order authorizing a set season for forfeiture, portion and sharing agreement with Martin County.
So moved.
It's an agreement, Chief Dubo's doing an agreement with Warren County. Chief Dubo's continues to work to get outside partnership. I appreciate it.
Morning, Council. Basically, what this is the sheriff, Martin County has agreed to deputize our interstate units to give us additional mileage of interstate inside of Martin County. In exchange, we have agreed to, after all legal fees have been paid, to give them 20% of the assets.
How the new law is going to affect our seizure of property?
Well, the law, the original law that's still in the book says that the initiating agency can only keep 80% of the forfeiture. 20% has to agreement allows us to continue to go federal if we so choose, but it allows us to follow up again that goes beyond what we do here in Meridian. In other words, one of our seizures that we had take place here in Meridian led to another seizure in Atlanta, which we got 10% of it, but it snowballs if it's a big enough case. So basically, what this allows to do is we're allowed to help the entire county of Lauderdale, and our people will be that.
I know you can seize, but I think the new laws that are being proposed, the amount you can seize is being comparable to what the cost, or whatever you want to call it, where the fine's going to be X amount of money.
MVN will not take a case under $10,000.
But like, if you stop someone in a $70,000 pickup truck that's hauling 1 pound of marijuana, you can't keep that $70,000 truck.
We have, the only way we could stop any vehicle was the $20,000 truck. We have to make a connection, a nexus. There has to be a connection between the narcotics, drugs, money, whatever, to the vehicle. For example, most of the vehicles that are seized because they have hidden compartments, which are designed to conceal assets.
I just don't want us to be hindered in our efforts.
Dr. Thomas, believe it or not, we have actually stopped vehicles on the interstate with money inside, but we did not have a nexus, and we did not make a seizure or take it in forfeiture.
I want you to keep everything in.
Yeah, well, we want to do it right.
And that's what I mean.
Yeah. Some people in this country do travel with $20,000 cash. I don't know why, but the average person does not have a secret compartment where they wrap those up and carry them in their suit tank. Chief Chief's agreement is maintain his ability to go federal, and he also continues to expand his territory to be able to not only provide law enforcement services here locally, but also to be able to take that national and protect other assets as well.
That's good. I just don't want us to suffer.
Ready to vote? All in favor? Any opposed? Nay. Number 8, order authorizing the acceptance of whole harmless agreements for public works to enter private properties at 16th Street, 18th Avenue.
So moved.
As y'all know, we had a lot of flooding here this past week. At the time, some of us were out playing playground with some guys that had worked internationally, and this Frenchman named Pierre said that he built the playground in 1 week in Venezuela during the rainy season, and he had never seen so much water to himself in Meridian that week. But in assessing that, Director Smith has looked at some areas where we are going to look to clean some ditches out, where the water flow more freely, to give us more ability, or a greater ability to handle the passage of water coming down.
Correct. This falls in line with our ability to go on or request access to private property with the idea of alleviating flooding and property damage issues. So basically, that's what I'm coming before you to do this morning, is to request that you approve these whole harmless agreements so we can go in and make the proper, perform the proper maintenance to alleviate these flooding issues in this area.
This is for public good. I don't want the public to think that they can sign a whole harmless agreement and come on fix it.
No, sir. That is not the case. Actually, this street was flooded due to the issues we're talking about.
Something that does need to be said here, when we talk to various individuals about creeks that may run through their personal property, we do not have the ability to get to it. You know, I tell them that you own the property on either side of that creek, and it is your responsibility to protect your personal property. I've had now multiple people say, well, if that's the case, and that's my creek, I'm going to dam that creek up in, and then what are y'all going to do about it? I said, we're not going to do anything about it. But the flooding that occurs back upstream due to what you've done on your personal property may be considered to be you being held liable for doing that. So what we would like to say is, you know, if you have creeks running through your personal property, best thing is to maintain those creeks until we have a serious problem come up, and then we eventually get to this money. But the damage is done.
Once upon a time, we talked about, and this was the previous council, but we talked about trying to have I guess a drainage system initiative, even though it's on private property and things of that nature. We were trying to develop some kind of way to allocate dollars so that these flooding issues, these concerns, because a lot of people don't know that if it is causing issues across the whole neighborhood, that is something that we need to possibly address. Is that something that we might open that conversation back up when we go into our budget season this year?
I think we should. One item that we do need to look at is maybe not being able to allocate all money between all the creeks, but what we do is set aside certain funds to be able to apply for matching funds from NRCS or the Corps of Engineers, or USDA, should they have funds available. We do routinely apply for those grants. And we do, but we run into, like many other cities, we have a bunch of creeks running through, whether it be Sawashi, Gallagher, Robbins, and then you have your basic watershed that runs into these creeks. But yes, ma'am, I think that's a great idea to allocate those funds separately.
Right, so we can at least have a game plan moving forward to try to address some of these things ahead of time.
I will request that be placed in legislative funds with note attached to it that it should be used for grant matching between groups.
Ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Number 9, ordinance authorizing rezoning RZ-19-01, block bounded by 5th Street, 34th Avenue, 33rd Avenue to the south.
Move approval. Mr. Kelly asked that I speak on his behalf today. He is meeting with state officials on the coast right now, but this has to do with Councilman Houston's ward, and this is the last hurdle that he has got to go through to provide the housing initiative that was brought up some time back. This deals with the rezoning of 2 blocks. Mr. Kelly has cleaned off a vast majority of these lots. And this is the last hurdle before construction begins. He has assured us that he is ready to move forward, and he also has other developments that he'll be bringing before the council in the future for discussion.
And he already owns these properties. This is where they've done the clearing and everything already.
Correct.
So we can't go wrong with trying to eliminate the reasons why they can't move forward. So
That's correct.
we'll appreciate them, at least trying to keep it in front of us.
Yes, ma'am.
Ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Number 10, claims docket.
Ms. Ladner, when can I get an answer, when should I expect an answer about the email I sent you regarding the inactive funds that we have and the current balance for those funds, as well as whatever the most recent transactions are?
The email requested information Thursday and said when you get a chance.
Right.
I'm working on month-end close and also finalizing the 2018 audit. So that is a pretty in-depth project that you asked for. So when I get a chance, I can give it to you. But of course, the audit and the month-end close takes priority.
Okay, thanks.
Associated with that, I think we need to work some out of depositories on the interest rate after the information is sent. Try to get that up a little.
Yes, because our current depository actually raised their interest rate. I can get the information.
Yes, still not enough.
Yes.
Get more interest than that on a checking account and some of the local things.
I'll send you the current information.
Ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Presentation. Legal notification. bid advertising for A, water filtration replacement, B, street fresh water treatment. Okay. And we're down to the next one.
Good morning again. I'm gonna be real brief. Ms. Jones gave us something for March 8th for promoting International Women's Day. I don't know where it's going to be held at, but just wanted to give you all awareness of that. Ms. Jones.
Good morning, Council. I'm here to invite you and our whole community to a very special event that has our community at the center of a worldwide event. About 10 years ago, the Ken Burns organization, Florentine Films, came to Meridian and began making inquiries about Jimmy Rogers and all of the activities that have occurred in our city and in our state regarding Jimmy Rogers through the years. Ken Burns, who is worldwide known for the documentaries that he has produced a documentary called Country Music. This is a 16-hour, 8-session film that will premiere on PBS all over the world in September of 2019. Prior to the premiere of the documentary, there will be promotion of it throughout the country and the world. It begins here in Mississippi, and it begins here in Philadelphia and Meridian, and it begins this month. I'm here to invite you to a special screening on March 29th at PD Electronics at 10:30 a.m., where you will have the opportunity to meet the producers of this exciting event and exciting film. This is very important to our community because the statistics show that in the United States and around the world, when Ken Burns produces a documentary and the world sees it and loves it, whether it's baseball or jazz or world wars or the Roosevelts, whoever he singles out, the national parks, the tourism related to that specific area quadruples. We will be seen through the eyes of the world in September as the birthplace of America's music. We invite you and our community to come out on March 29th to embrace this wonderful documentary that will showcase our community and one of our founding fathers, Jimmy Rogers. Do you have any questions?
What time?
10:30 a.m. at PD Electronics. It will be about an hour show. There will be a show screening in Philadelphia the night before at the, and I have information, you don't have to write all this down. There will be a showing in Philadelphia the night before with Marty Stewart, who, by the way, is the narrator of this documentary. And there will be a show with Marty and Connie, and then there will be the screening of the at the Ellis Theater that night. And then the one in Meridian is at 10:30 a.m. And then they'll move to Montgomery to guess who? Hank Williams, the night of the 29th. I'm passing out to you an e-bite with the necessary information. Also, I'm giving you a national press release that has been released since February 1st about all the details. Thank you for allowing me to present this exciting adventure for our community, and I look forward to seeing all of you on March 29th at PD Electronics. Thank you.
Thank you.
We had a very big event this weekend on City Hall lawn with the Mardi Gras parade and everything else. A lot of people came out. We had a lot of events downtown this weekend at the Max and other places. So I want to thank Community Development, Terrence, and their team in Public Works and Parks and Rec for helping put everything together. We're trying to continue to do more things downtown, trying to do more things to engage families and that sort of thing. As we move forward, I think one thing that we do need to talk about, we have several things to talk about in the next work session, but one of the big things that we do need to agree upon and move forward on is what we're going to do with Juneteenth and the money that the council, the defined dollar amount that the council is going to provide for that. We have requested $10,000, or we are going to request $10,000. It is you all's choice of the amount that you all give to us. Last year's budget was about $21,500, so that still puts us at having to raise the other $11,500 to $12,000 to put on the show. That's one thing. The other thing is, after the rainstorms a couple of weeks ago, we had to do a lot of work cleaning up, and we also had some guys go out. In particular, James Lloyd had to go out to all of the areas that had issues. He had to also go out, President Johnson, to the areas that you all drove around again to get back to Waste Pro and to find out from them what they would charge us for removing a lot of that material. That some of it may have been from the storm, some of it may have just been people who utilized the storm to put out some other debris that had nothing to do with the storm. At any rate, it was about 8 or 9 properties that he identified with pictures. We are out of money on our end on that $400,000 that we've already expensed to Waste Pro. I think the amount that we have to pay Waste Pro to do what Mr. Lord found was about $2,500 to $3,000 to remove that. It may be some other areas, but the areas that he identified possibly in you all's drive around was that amount. So we would need $3,000 from somewhere, possibly legislative, to do that if y'all want to move forward on that. We did take a bid last week. I think you and Brandy for the development that's going to be in your ward, Councilwoman Houston. So I think we'll be ready to move forward on that.
I received notification from MDOT yesterday.
This is regarding the sidewalks.
Sidewalk, correct. So that, my goal is to bring that contract before you at the next meeting.
What the next meeting in March on that. The main thing that I continue wanting to say is, in private business, anybody can make a decision today and the changes can be done tomorrow. Government is a little different in the way that we have to talk. We have to figure out which line item of the budget is going to come from. Once we see we don't have it in the budget for that sort of thing, we got to communicate with you guys. We got to have a work session. We got to bid things out. We got to hope and pray sometimes that the state or the feds give us some money to do the project. We have to wait, and then things get done. So government is slow. But a lot of the things that I know a lot of you guys send up sometimes for requests, those little things that we can do with the resources that we have. If you all are getting second and third requests, please send them to my attention or to Richie's attention directly as council people or through Joanne, so that I know personally what some of my team is not doing under me. I request that you all do that. On the bigger projects, on things that I'm going to still have to come back to you all to say, we currently don't have the money in this year's budget to do. It's maybe something we talk about during our budget negotiations or hearings and that sort of thing. Let's do that, because right now in some of our departments, based on what we have planned ahead looking at, there's not monies to do certain things that we may want to do to get us through September 30th. So, in saying that, if there's some other things that you guys see in your community, from the paving and everything else, we're going to have that talk, because he wants to do that, I want to do that, but it may only be a certain amount of money, and some of you guys are putting stuff for streets. Of course, let the people know, which I always let the people know, we can't pave all these streets at one time. It's not going to happen. We are going to talk about next year with our pothole crew. We have a 2-man pothole crew. To maybe expanding that or doing something different, I'm going to challenge the department head leader, Hugh Smith, to do some things differently so that we can do more of that to maintain our streets. And also, what's the other crew you got? Blackstone crew. You got how many men on that crew? You got 2 men on that crew. And cross-train some other guys to be able to do certain things. But y'all take in mind and remember, the same crew that pays our road also is the one that demolishes houses. How many men on that crew?
Should be 6, but we're not 4.
Down to 4, and it's a 6-man crew, so we got to get 2 more guys. But just remember, we can't knock down houses and pave streets at the same time. So like some of the things that happen on the day-to-day, sometimes you all need to know before you think we're just not trying to do it or it's just not getting done. But if you all are having issues in any of your wards, and it's the second or third request that you send out to Joanne, please personally email it if you have to myself or to Richard so that we can get it done and find out whoever has that work order that is not doing it. It's not just the only person that knows about it. Councilman Johnson, also in Ward 2, as I've said, we've continued to do a lot of work, a lot of the resources that we have spent, money, cash, in the first 5.5 years of my time in office has went into Ward 2. After Ward 2, Ward 4 will probably coming in a very far distant second. And I know for all of you all's wards, it is still a lot of work to do. So we try to, take care of each and every one of you all's wards, but some of the things that you all want done, it is going to take some communication. Some of the things that you all may want done that we don't have in the budget right now, it's going to be my responsibility or Richard's responsibility to communicate to you if we can, and if we can't get it done, and go from there. But I want to let all of you all know we have done major projects in most all wards, and a lot of our time and resources and money has always been in areas that have been most underserved for years. And we still got a lot of work to do around this city, in particular in those wards, because they had been underserved for so long. So we're going to continue to work with you all, each one of you all's wards, and I respectfully request that you all work with us and let me know as leader, because at the end of the day, if some of these guys aren't doing what they need to do, it's going to be my responsibility to make sure it's done. So I just ask that you do that. And that's all I have for this morning. I think I've commented enough on everything else. Dr. Thomas.
Mayor, I have March the 26th at 9 a.m. Will that work for you as a work session for you all?
That's on the Tuesday.
That's a Tuesday.
That's not.
The day after my birthday.
Yeah.
You got that, Ms. Jones? That's the day after.
Yeah, we'll make that work. And the last thing, March 14th through 17th, hopefully we'll get the build out complete with Playing Playground. We've got a lot of volunteers, a lot of work that's going on out there. It rained every single day from Sunday to Sunday. So there was a lot of mud. We couldn't do the concrete. We just had a lot of issues that man had nothing to do with. So we got as much done, but the crew is going to come back and hopefully finish out those last 4 days, and that'll be complete. But I just want to communicate to you all, if there are issues that seem like that are coming back second, third time on these service requests, please give those to me or to Richard so we can deal with them. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving to citizens' comments, Mr. Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. In August 2017, following the election, Dr. Thomas, you were president, and you gave me an opportunity to speak to y'all at one of your first work sessions. I told you then that I saw an opportunity for you FAT to make a real difference in Meridian. I told you about the city's population being nearly 50,000 when I graduated high school here at 55. But now it's less than 40,000. I also told you that after studying and digging into the facts that had occurred here, in the 15 years I've been back, I had discovered the primary reason for that decline was no jobs due to our reputation for corruption and mismanagement of the county and the city for many years, as no businesses with many jobs were going to move here. I was very hopeful that y'all would change all that so our area could have a chance to grow again. You do have the power and the opportunity through your legislative authority and oversight. About 8 months ago, when Ms. Johnson was president, I got involved in trying to stop the closing of Lakeview Golf Course. As a member and playing golf there frequently, I knew about the terrible management of the facility, so I was aware of the decline in its usage by many locals and tourists. What I didn't know was in the past 5 or 6 years since Mayor Bland took office, the revenue taken in out there has been reduced to about half of what it was before. That is primarily due to the mismanagement of Lakeview Golf Course. What I'm telling you now is that same mismanagement is going on throughout the city. And y'all have a chance to change all that through your legislative and oversight authority. You have the power and the responsibility, and I pray that you will exercise it. Mayor Bland most certainly didn't start the corruption and mismanagement that have existed here for so long, but he and his chief administrative officer have done more damage to the city's workforce than any of their predecessors. Morale is terrible, and many of the most professional and productive employees have left already. Many more of the most productive have been shuttled around to other locations and effectively put out to pasture to make room for some of their favorite people who are much less capable. I know you are all going to get a little shock treatment around the end of this week, but the question is, what are you going to do after that? I respectfully request and pray that you are not going to continue being complicit by enabling the administration's corruption and bad management of the city's employees to continue as it has for the past 2 years. I respectfully request that you please do your jobs and provide the administration proper oversight, in particular with regard to the city's employees, for the benefit of the Meridian citizens. You have the power to legislate appropriate processes for management of the city's employees, and I respectfully request that you do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Council comments.
I had some semi-prepared remarks I was going to give, but I'm going to deviate from that to hopefully address a couple of the things that were said earlier, because the picture's been painted that I'm doing things politically motivated. Now, I understand you're not talking to me, you're just talking to the other 4 council members when you speak and ask for their vote. But there's been plenty of times where I voted in favor of things that were, my understanding was to be good for the city. So this idea that I'm trying to block good things from happening just couldn't be further from the truth. Many of the things that I've tried to fight for that have been ignored are things along the same lines as what Mr. Tommy Williams is talking about. It's this fact that the city's payroll costs have gone way up, but no one can see where the additional services have come from in that same time period. It's to say that there shouldn't be certain employees who get large raises while you have people come to a council meeting and say that they deserve more than $9 or $10 an hour. Those things shouldn't be outrageous to say. It shouldn't be unreasonable to say that we maybe shouldn't yield so much of our authority and decision-making to a few group of business leaders who will come as the authoritative voice of how to do economic development, when, as Mr. Williams pointed out, the population's been declining. There hasn't been any real growth in Meridian in decades. But for how long have the same groups of people and people before them as well come and said that they're the authority on economic development, that you do it their way or you don't do it at all? And then the idea that it's grandstanding to even question one of them, to even suggest that they should answer whether or not they have any conflicts of interest in being a member of the school board. That was just baffling to me. I didn't know that that's what I was doing. I didn't know I was grandstanding when I was asking a simple question. But that's the idea, that's the picture that's being painted, is that it's all motivated by politics and all that good stuff. But the reality is, I literally signed up to run for office on a whim. As Ms. Delaney pointed out, I was between semesters at Millsap and didn't have a whole lot going on. So I signed up to run. And I got involved in all of this. And to give you some peace of mind, right now, my current leaning is not towards running to replace you as mayor, it's towards changing our form of government. Because what I'm witnessing is just this runaway practice of completely destroying the city's workforce, destroying our ability to get things done, and then pointing to private developments that have benefited largely a select few as evidence of progress. You know, we'll all celebrate when the 3-foot hotel opens up, but when you live in a city that is this level of poverty that we are currently seeing, what are some of these things really doing for those people? Not much of anything. So I hope we can get past this idea that things have motivations other than just trying to solve the problems, other than just asking questions to hear what the answer is going to be. That's not grandstanding. That's just doing basic oversight, checks and balances in this form of government. Maybe a council manager forms the solution. Obviously, Mayor Kemp many years ago felt differently. That's maybe a topic for debate some other time. But I'm looking forward to getting back to some of the issues that I brought up last year. You know, I was stonewalled by the inability to get the city attorneys to draft a proposed ordinance about performance evaluations, so I had to do my own research on that. And I found where the city of Hattiesburg has actually done almost exactly what I was trying to propose. They already have an ordinance on the books doing that, and so I will propose that at an upcoming work session, and hopefully we can get to a point where we understand what is causing a decline in services, and we understand why our payroll costs are inflated, but we actually do something to address it. And while we're not even 2 years into our term yet, we can't count on the next election to correct those problems. It'll just be, the problems will just compound in the meantime.
Good morning, everybody. We have Mississippi Power is doing the job readiness training. They're going to have some potential employers there. This is this coming Saturday. It will be at Mount Olive Baptist Church. If you know of any 11th or 12th grader that is wanting to work, wanting to sharpen their skills, wanting to know how to handle an interview or things of that nature, I do have a few flyers and any of the council members that may want one of these to share with the people in your ward. Mississippi Power puts this on every year, and they've had huge success. Last weekend, this past Saturday, was the funeral for the young lady at Meridian High, so the turnout was not as well as they had anticipated, and so this coming weekend, even if you didn't make the first one, they will be there to go over everything. For any 11th or 12th grader, we definitely want to get you plugged in if we can. Also, March 21st, I'm asking the administration if you all would join me. We're having a community meeting, neighborhood meeting at Bethel Baptist Church. We've gone there several times before, 301 46th Avenue. We canceled our neighborhood meeting scheduled for St. Paul last month because of the update. But March 21st, 6:30 p.m., Bethel Baptist Church, which is located at 301 46th Avenue. And I'll have a flyer. I'll have Ms. Joanne send you all the flyer that we have, just to touch base with that community over there and address any concerns that they may have. We're looking forward to moving forward, and thank y'all for being here this morning.
I attended a neighborhood watch program in my ward, and I want to talk to you, Chief, about some questions I have about moving forward. And my next statement is not about politics. We all hear the negative things that are going on in Meridian. Everybody can name something negative. I want to challenge everybody in this room, everybody listening, everybody that you can talk to, please find something positive. Brag about that. Shout that out loud. Pass that along. Stop passing on the negative things. When you find something negative, come up with a solution. We can all name problems, but who can come up with solutions? Try to find ways to make people look good, not make them look bad. Some things we should keep to ourselves. Some things should only be said in private. We need to learn to promote instead of demote. And thanks to everybody for coming out.
A special thanks to all the folks that came out. We had over 1,000 people that came out. The mayor mentioned out at Plant Playground, had some city employees that led the charge within the names, into their knees up the mud and so forth. We had people from Clark County that came out and helped. We had people from Kemper County that came out and helped. We had people from Newton County that came out and helped. So there is an effort in the community for people to get out and do good, positive things. Remind people that Meridian High School, I think their elementary choir program is Thursday.
I think it's tonight.
Is it Thursday?
Tonight.
Tonight, okay. It's a chance to music program there. Basketball team Wednesday night, 7 o'clock in Jackson, playing for the state championship. They need to win 2 more games to beat a team that had lost only 1 game all year when they went down to the coast. Good thing. We'll close with a quote from John Wooten. John Wooten was perhaps the best basketball coach that's ever been in the United States of America, perhaps in the world. This is a quote from him. Talent is God-given, be thankful. Fame is man-given, be humble. Conceit is self-given, be careful.
Good morning. So the work session will be March the 26th. We had a meeting last week with ADP Mobile. I tried to inform you guys about. They came out to get us some vital information on what can help this city as it relates to payroll and documentation and things like that. So I'm gonna try to get him to come to the work session on the 26th. Oh, I'm sorry. So I'm gonna try to get him to come to this work session on the 26th. And thank you guys, Public Works, for coming out, unclogging that ditch. I know you guys, there was some large stumps up under there from what I was told. Besides that, that's all that I have for today. Thank you guys. Meeting adjourned.